Texans signed Danielle Hunter to a 2-year, $49 million deal with $48 million guaranteed. And the defensive depth chart right now for the defensive depth chart right now for the Houston Texans is looking very, very mighty. You got Danielle Hunter at the end. You also just brought in, Danico Autry. You just drafted Will Anderson last year. You got Aziz Al-Shaair, who you bought in here in free agency. Jeff Okuda, who still needs to prove some more. He just came in free agency as well. You've got Jimmy Ward. You've got Jalen Petre. And you've also got Derek Stingley. I think we could be looking at a top 10 offensive line here next season for the Houston Texans because Danielle Hunter has been on an absolute tear in his NFL career. Let's see, I'm trying to find it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons. He was drafted in 2015, so he's played 8 years in the NFL. He's got 5 seasons with double-digit sacks, 16 and a half, 10 and a half, 14 and a half, 14 and a half, 12 and a half. He has given 32 and a half sacks over the last 3 years. He has given 60-ish sacks over the last 5 years, including 2 14 and a half and 1 16 and a half season, a 10 and a half, and a 6 season in there as well in terms of total sacks. And Danielle Hunter is just going to come in here and wreck it. Being next to Will Anderson's game will go to another level because Danielle Hunter is there to support him. He has been fantastic in his NFL career, spending all of his time with the Minnesota Vikings. He's been an all pro second team once. He's been a Pro Bowler 4 times in the last 5 seasons. First 3 year was not a Pro Bowl at all. Come in Defensive Player of the Year voting a time or 2. And this is just such a good addition for a team in the Houston Texans that is looking to solidify. They're coming off of a big year. D'Amico Ryans just did what he did with tripling the wins, doing it with a rookie quarterback, winning the division, winning a playoff game against a premier AFC team. And now they've got the chance to really do something special with this defensive line. And I just got to say, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, that might be the best defensive line duo in the NFL. We know there's a lot of respectable ones out there. We know there's a lot of dogs on the defensive line, whether you're a TJ Watt, whether you're a Bosa, whether you're a Myles Garrett. You have to respect what these two guys are about to bring to the table. We know that Will Anderson was Defensive Rookie of the Year last year for a reason. And I think it's going to be pretty scary with Danielle Hunter, Danico Autry, and Will Anderson back there on the line. And who knows if they possibly have a trade happen at the trade deadline, this could be even more of a scary defense. I mean, you look at what this defense actually was last year, which again, this is going to be a top 10 defensive line incoming for this year. I think for pressures, possible TFLs, for sacks as well, pressure rate. The Texans were 11th in points last year, 14th in yards, 24th in defensive pass yards per game, 6th in defensive rush yards per game. They were 7th in the turnover margin. They were 16th in interceptions, 14th in fumbles, 15th in sacks, and 16th in takeaways. So overall, about a middle of the pack defense. The big ones that you look out there are 11th in points, 14th in yards. Defensive rush yards per game, 6th overall is really good, and bringing in Danielle Hunter is just going to help that. They were good at staying positive in the turnover margin, but again, they were about middle of the pack with all types of turnovers and for sacks as well. And there's plenty of room to improve here for the Houston Texans. Again, they want to continue to build on that. This team came out of nowhere last year, taking the 2nd and 3rd overall pick, shaking up the draft, shaking up the AFC South as we thought that it was the Jacksonville Jaguars to win. That is turning into one of the best one of the best divisions right in front of our eyes. And the Texans know that they have to compete with that. And when you go and you take a look at Danielle Hunter and what he's actually done since he's been in the league in 2015, you even look at the quarterback hurries over the years, very solid. The sacks, like I said, very solid. Quarterback knockdowns. He had 41 pressures last year, 34 pressures the year before. In 2018, he had 38 pressures. 2019, he had 36 pressures. Just a very, very solid guy. Under 5% missed tackle rate every year outside of 2018 since the year 2018. And he was I was actually 10% on the dot there for a missed tackle rate. And Danielle Hunter, since he's coming to the NFL sack leader since 2015 when Danielle Hunter came in. Number 1, Aaron Donald. Number 2, Khalil Mack. Number 3, TJ Watt. Number 4, Myles Garrett. Number 5, Chandler Jones. Number 6, my boy Cameron Jordan. And number 7, Danielle Hunter with 87.5 sacks. Only 6 players since he was drafted almost a decade ago have been better than him since he's in terms of sacking the quarterback since he's come into the NFL. He's got 87.5 sacks. He's trailing again Chandler Jones, Cameron Jordan, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald. That's pretty good company to be in, if you ask me. He's ahead of Chris Jones by about 12 sacks. He's ahead of Von Miller. He's ahead of Joey Bosa, Matthew Judon, Cameron Hayward, Calais Campbell. This again, just since 2015. So ahead of a good bit of names here. And that just shows what he's been capable of since he's been in the NFL. When you're up there with those types of names and you're hanging around those types of names in this conversation, you can do nothing but give respect to the fact that Danielle Hunter is going to make this defensive line one of the toughest to go up against. They're going to have pressure on the quarterback's ass. They're going to be able to stop the run well like they did last year. That's going to relieve pressure on the back end, like guys like Jimmy Ward and Derek Stingley and Jalen Petre even be able to break out even more. And the competition from this team in the AFC South is going to be something to watch for years to come.